After all, the only way to stop a bad 4-year-old with a gun is a good 4-year-old with a gun. There are a lot of commonly used words and concepts that people frequently misuse. Among them is the concept of irony, most famously misused by Alanis Morissette in a hit song, Ironic. Isn't it ironic? Right? I love that song. I love Alanis Morissette. I feel people are going to be like, Simon, really? Yeah. Alanis Morissette's good. I like Alanis Morissette. I got a collection album. I got the album. It's in my Spotify. Like, I regularly listen to it. Alanis describing... Oh, by the way, Kevin writes it, I read it. That's the format of the show. Alanis's describing of coincidence or bad luck as irony is so famous that I even found worksheets made up for high school English classes in which they had to identify whether or not the things listed in her song are truly ironic. And yes, a couple of them actually are. In an attempt to help illustrate what irony actually is, today we'll be looking at the ironic adventures of Florida Man. And for the particularly pedantic out there, yes, I realize these are all examples of situational irony, not dramatic irony. Oh my God, there's different types of irony. Kevin, I'm learning something. I just thought dramatic made for a better title, so you're just going to have to let that one slide. Isn't it ironic? Pro-gun activist Florida woman shot by 4-year-old son. Isn't it ironic? I can't remember how the song goes. It's not one. I like the song, but it's probably not my favorite Alanis Morissette song. I like that. I got one hand in my pocket and the other one I'm giving a high five. Yeah, that's the. It's like rain. That's it. That's it. There's just something special in American culture about the Second Amendment. Gun enthusiasts treat it as the holy word of God rather than a mutable law created by men, yet they simultaneously act as if some nefarious force is secretly plotting to take all of their guns away. Only by proclaiming their love of guns from the mountaintops can the Second Amendment be preserved. The only other amendment in the Bill of Rights that is defended with even close to this amount of fervor is the First Amendment, though usually that's done by people who don't really understand what the First Amendment says. That's the freedom of speech one, right? That people often confuse being like, oh, Simon, you deleted my comment. You've got filtering on for bad words in the comment section. You're violating my freedom of speech. And I'm like, bruh, you're violating my First Amendment's rights. And it's like, well, one, my dude, I don't give a fuck because I'm not the government. The American government specifically. Let's talk about skincare for just a minute. Whether you're battling acne, dark circles, or maybe you just want a radiant, beautiful glow, Geology, today's sponsor, they're going to make it simple. Plus, they've got 36 awards and over 10,000 5-star reviews, proving that effective skincare does not have to be complicated. Here's how it works. You take a 60-second quiz and you share your skin goals. Their dermatologists create a personalized routine just for you. Your skincare set includes essentials like salicylic acid face wash to prevent breakouts and a retinol night cream to target wrinkles and improve texture. Plus, it's delivered right to your door. Actually, just got this yesterday. There's no hassle. There's no guesswork. They make it easy. It's not just skincare. Geology's products for hair and body care are dermatologist-tested, eco-friendly. They also smell amazing. And we've partnered with Geology on today's episode to bring you an exclusive deal. Head to geolog.ie/blaze70 or scan the QR code on the screen now and use the code BLAZE70 to get 70% off their award-winning skincare trial set. Stop guessing, start glowing with Geology. Thanks then for sponsoring, and now back to today's episode. To be fair, the text is an onerous 45 words long, but I've always wondered why the other amendments don't get this same amount of love. Imagine if people put that same amount of effort into defending the 8th Amendment, which states that excessive bail shall not be required. That section of the Bill of Rights seems to be violated on a daily basis, but people are somehow cool with that since it only affects criminals. I mean, fuck criminals, right? And the wrongly accused. Oh, yeah, I suppose there's that. But I'm getting off track, so let's get back to 31-year-old Florida woman Jamie Gilt and her pro-gun Facebook page, Jamie Gilt for Gun Sense. Some outlets described her as in described past tense, she got shot, as an influencer, though the page only had a little over 100 followers. I don't describe myself as an influencer, and you got 100 followers. You peasant. Regardless, the fact that she was a vocal pro-gun activist is the reason this story wound up making international headlines, as what transpired is otherwise so common in the United States as to not even warrant a mention outside of the local news. On her page, Jamie shared all sorts of delusional and ironic ironic memes, and personal anecdotes about guns. There was an image that said, "My right to protect my child with my gun trumps your fear of my gun," and a picture of a .45 handgun with the caption, "Got to play with my new toy today." This is just a bit weird. Like, I don't have a problem with guns. Like, I'm kind of like, sure, you want to have guns? Have guns. But there should be, like, lots of laws around it, because guns are really dangerous. And this seems like the sort of person who shouldn't, like, don't call a gun is not a f***ing toy. Like, this is some basic shit. If you're calling a gun a toy, maybe you shouldn't have guns. A gun is a weapon. On March the 7th, 2016, the day before the incident, Jamie talked about how all of her children knew how to shoot, and that even my 4-year-old son gets jacked up to target shoot with the .22. The very next day, a Putnam County Sheriff's deputy found Jamie's pickup truck partially pulled over on the road with the driver motioning for help. While Jamie was driving, her son had unbuckled his booster seat, got down onto the floor of the car, grabbed her new toy that was loose under the seat instead of secured in some way, and pulled the trigger. I was watching a movie the other day. And it was just like, I can't remember what it was, but there was supposed to be like, it was a movie or a TV show or whatever, but I'm like watching it, I say to my, and there's a scene where like the grandpa or whatever, he's got a gun, and it's just and the whole thing is like, the whole family's like wholesome and good, and you'd never imagine that this granddad would be irresponsible with a gun or whatever. But it's got nothing to do with like him and the child getting access to it. But he's living with his son and their like 5-year-old kid or whatever, and he just is upstairs and he comes down. And his briefcase is open on the table and he's like, goes over to it and he lifts up some papers or whatever, and there's a gun right there, and then he just closes it up and he goes on his way. And like, there's no f***ing way the responsible gun owner would leave a gun in a place accessible to a child. That's insane to me. The bullet entered Jamie's lower back and exited her abdomen, and when police came to her car, she was taken to hospital where she made a full recovery. Oh, didn't we refer to her as past tense? At least that was the official story of how she got shot, though Jamie's son told a different story. According to her son, he wasn't even in the truck at the time. Instead, he claimed that it was a Tyrannosaurus Rex aided by a Velociraptor who shot his mother. Despite being found in the backseat by the deputy, Jamie's son refused to change his story and remained adamant that he was not in the truck with the dinosaurs at the time of shooting. Unfortunately, while he couldn't be held criminally liable for shooting his mother, he was held criminally liable for perjury. Just joking.
You f***ing lied to me?
I'm just joking. He's fine. He's a kid. He is not responsible for this shitstorm. It's obviously the mother who left the gun f***ing rolling around on the floor of the car. Bah! That is simultaneously an adorable way to try and get out of trouble, and a perfect illustration of why we probably shouldn't give guns to children quite that young. Following the incident, Jamie's family maintained their pro-gun stance and referred to what happened as a freakish accident. It's not a freakish accident. You were f***ing negligent, allegedly, in my opinion. Just like getting struck by lightning, there was no way for anyone to predict something like this could happen. I would be able to f***ing predict it. Nor could anything like that have been done to prevent it. But the gun don't take the fucking fuck. What the fuck? Although she could have faced up to a year in jail for negligence, Jamie managed to get off with a slap on the wrist. This was a recurring theme for Jamie, who had multiple previous arrests, but was always able to make some sort of plea deal that avoided any real consequences for her actions. Note that the other arrests were for miscellaneous crimes like felony theft or knowingly driving with a suspended, revoked, or cancelled license, and did not involve firearms. Regardless, as part of her deal to never learn a lesson, Jamie had to take gun safety courses, where she belongs. Lesson number 1: not a toy, Jamie. Get some gamer subs. It's delicious and it keeps my rage fueled through high levels of caffeine. They say, put 1 scoop in there, but if you put 7 scoops in, you get 7 times as much caffeine.
No.
Allegedly, don't do that. It probably even says on my little notes here, don't do that. But if you would like to get some gamer subs and drink a reasonable amount of it and not be insane, go to gamersubs.gg/blaze. Why not? It's fucking delicious. Get the Arctic cooler flavor. It's the shit. Regardless, as part of her deal, she personally found the course to be lacking, because she's clearly the expert here, so she announced on her Facebook page that she was going to become a gun safety instructor. How about no? This announcement was met with so much ridicule that she deleted both the Jamie Guilt for Gun Sense page and her personal Facebook page. Oh no, Jamie! You're now not an influencer anymore. You had 100 subscribers and you've thrown it all away, Jamie! At the end of the day, though, we all know the real lesson to be learned from what happened. This wasn't a story about an irresponsible gun owner being lucky that her son shot her instead of himself and that the wound wasn't fatal. It's another example of why America needs more guns and why people need to have more children. After all, the only way to stop a bad 4-year-old with a gun is a good 4-year-old with a gun. And on that note, arm the teachers. I want all teachers, like Mr. Williams in like 3rd grade maths, strapped, bro. Funnily enough, I pulled that name out of my arse, like I was not thinking, but I think my primary school maths teacher was actually called Mr. Williams. Or Dr. Williams or something. I don't know, he's probably dead. It was a really long time ago and he's already quite old. Florida anger management therapist allegedly murders man, stuffs body in trunk. We all get angry sometimes. That's just part of being human. Usually, this is a fleeting response to some specific incident, and people often find constructive ways to channel their anger rather than letting their lives be fueled by hate. Yes, but if you do have a life fueled by hate is a powerful motivator. Like, I'm successful because I'm fueled by hate. Good. I wish I was more successful. Maybe if I wasn't fueled by hate and I was fueled by love, I'd be more Please. Hate's a way powerful motivator. But every once in a while, you get someone who is so prone to frequent angry outbursts that they require professional help to control their rage. That's where anger therapy comes in, and in this case, 46-year-old Florida man and anger therapist Travis McBride. Travis owned his own clinic in DeLand, Florida, that specialized in anger management, PTSD, and bipolar disorder. And this career decision on Travis's part made a lot of sense. They say you should teach what you know, and there may have been no better expert on the topic of unmanaged anger than Travis. I mean, I kind of agree. Like, if I was going to anger management, I would like it to be taught by someone who had anger issues and got over them. Because then you'd be like, okay, you understand. Like, I don't know, I don't have anger issues. I never really understood rage. Like, rage was not something I really sorry, it should be specific. Air rage. You know how people, or road rage. People are driving on the road and they just get furious. Or they're in a plane and they just get furious. And it's not something I ever understood. Like, I get annoyed, just like everybody else, when someone cuts me off, or, the airplane's like 3 hours delayed on the tarmac and it's super unpleasant. I'm like, this is annoying. I never understood it until I realized I don't anymore, but I used to have rage at my computer. Like, I went through an inordinate number of keyboards because I'd just be like, it'd be like freezing, or I'd lose my work and I'd be like, I'll slam the keyboard and be like, I need another keyboard. And then I realized, I do understand rage. I think I just grew out of that. I don't do that anymore. Just kind of, I guess I just mellowed with age or something, but I used to just have that rage. And it made me understand, that's what people who have like road rage and shit feel. But like on the road with other people, I'm just silently alone in my office beating the shit out of my keyboard. He had a string of 22 arrests. Who? Oh, Travis, the anger management therapist. Regular intervals going from present day all the way back to 1995. Most of these arrests were for aggravated assault and domestic violence, with some stalking thrown in there just for fun. From what I see, quite hardcore anger issues, though. I more want someone who, like, flipped out on a plane. That's what I want. I don't want the guy who's, like, doing domestic violence and a little bit of, a sprinkling of stalking. From what I can tell, there weren't any convictions, as his wife never went ahead with the prosecuting of the domestic incidents. In the other cases, it seems that Travis was able to negotiate deferred prosecution agreements. But since his wife never pursued the numerous charges of domestic violence, it's fair to say that Travis would have been an expert on living with someone with PTSD as well. furthering his credentials as a therapist. Kevin, that is crazy. I mean, I get it's a joke, but that's a crazy thought. The mere existence of an anger management specialist with a well-documented legal history of anger issues would already be ironic on its own, but the story took a darker turn in January 2024. Travis had some sort of feud going on with the 52-year-old Clinton Dorsey, a homeless man who lived in the woods near Travis's house. Bro, you gotta take the high road. He's just a homeless dude. What are you gonna be doing? It's unclear to what extent Travis or Clinton actually knew each other or for how long they'd been feuding. It's even less clear if anything Travis alleged actually happened or if there were just imagined slights or events that Travis incorrectly attributed to Clinton. One night, Travis went to a neighbor's house to see if she had seen Clinton. Travis, what are you up to? Where is this going? According to the woman, Travis believed Clinton had put glass in a jar for his dogs, and Travis was looking for him because he was going to kill him. Why would Clinton do this? And if he is doing this, it's because he's crazy. It's not because he's got some malicious thing against you, Travis. That would be insane. That is the actions of a crazy person. Later that night, the woman was sitting in her backyard and heard arguing, so she went out front to see what was going on. She said Travis and Clinton were on opposite sides of the street yelling at each other. She then heard gunshots and watched as Travis walked over to Clinton's body while carrying his gun and continued to fire several more times. Oh my God, did that escalate quickly. Multiple 911 calls came in with witnesses either hearing shots or claiming to have seen the murder. According to witnesses, Travis dragged Clinton's body across the street and shoved it in the trunk of his car, driving away. He then returned 10 minutes later, and witnesses say they saw him trying to clean blood off the street. Why are you returning to the scene of the crime? That's insane. 10 minutes? What the fuck? How fast do you think the police are going to get there? They're going to be there within 10 minutes, my dude. Police arrived before Travis finished cleaning. I'm amazed they didn't arrive before he finished cleaning. And they found Clinton's dead body. Of course they did. What are you doing, Travis? He was arrested and charged with first-degree murder, though the trial has yet to take place. Just yesterday, at the time of writing, Travis's lawyer filed a motion to dismiss the murder charge. Good luck with that, dude. He allegedly shot him, walked across the street, and then continued to shoot him before shoving the body in his car and then wiping the blood off the street. I mean, if that's how it went down, allegedly, then, I mean, bruh. Everything that happened was caught on Travis's security cameras. Which were then taken by the police after obtaining a warrant. Bro, I know destroying evidence is a crime, but when the punishment for the destruction of evidence is less than the crime, I mean, you do the math. Travis's attorney claims that the police mishandled and destroyed evidence. That sounds like a good thing for Travis, as they received only a single grainy video with no audio during discovery, despite there having been multiple cameras which recorded both video and audio. The lawyer argued that only 3 witnesses to the actual event were Travis, Clinton, and the security cameras. Since Travis can't be compelled to testify against himself, the security footage was claimed to be compromised and Clinton was dead, so the lawyer believed the first-degree murder charge should be dropped. So it's some pretty good lawyering, to be honest. It's certainly an interesting argument, and I would be genuinely curious to see how that would have played out were it not for the fact that there was an entire neighborhood full of witnesses who all alleged to have seen Travis either commit the murder, stuff the body in his trunk, and or try to clean up the scene of the crime. The police arrived while he was cleaning up the blood. He's just like, no, I'm just being a good citizen. There's not a body in the trunk of my car. Can we look in the trunk? Travis, what the Florida man steals $1 of toilet paper held on a $5,000 bond. Remember earlier when I said the whole thing about excessive bail should not be required? Well, one Florida man made national headlines when he was held on bail that most reasonable people considered to be excessive. Of course, the actual story is simultaneously both more and less ridiculous than the headline makes it sound. It was the early morning hours of March the 10th, 2020. As you may either recall or be actively trying to forget, the world was in the process of falling to shit at the time. Not only was everything shitty, but people were struggling to wipe as the entire US was plagued by massive shortages of toilet paper. This is weird. During COVID, I don't remember any shortages of toilet paper. There were not shortages. At least, as far as I'm aware. I didn't run out of toilet paper, and I don't keep some giant supply of toilet paper. I probably got, I don't know, 20 rolls in the cupboard like a normal person? There was no shortage of toilet paper. What's happening? And if there is, just wash your ass in the shower. What the fuck? It's not that hard. It's a hassle, but, I mean, you can do it. Store shelves were empty, and people would camp out at grocery stores to be there first thing when they opened in the hope of grabbing their 2-pack maximum of freshly restocked toilet paper. But not everyone was lucky enough to find those fluffy white rolls on the shelves. People attempted to use all sorts of alternatives like tissues, napkins, and paper towels, but there were shortages of all these products as well. Just use water. Just go get a f***ing bidet. Make your own bidet. Attach a hose to your sink. Use the I don't understand. It's not that hard. Like, I've been... the worst time is where you're at home. There's no... back in the day, where I had one apartment, there was one toilet, ran out of toilet paper. There's no toilet paper in the apartment. There's okay, well, I guess I'm taking a shower in the middle of the day. Boom, done. No problem. Some even went so far as to do something grotesquely un-American and purchase a bidet. Others, like 25-year-old Florida man Safraz Shakur, went to an even more unsavory route and resorted to theft. At around 1:30 a.m., a homeowner called police after he noticed a man entering his unlocked truck. Inside was a fresh 6-pack of toilet paper that had been purchased for $1 at Dollar General. $1 for 6 toilet rolls. Holy shit, that's really cheap. Safraz opened up the packaging and took a single roll, meaning that he only stole 17 cents worth of toilet paper and not the full dollar's worth that the headlines claimed. When police caught up with Safraz, who lived down the street, he was discovered to have the roll of toilet paper in his sweatshirt pocket. He was then arrested, charged with felony burglary, and held on a $5,000 bail. Did he even break the car window or anything? He just, took it out of the car. It was, in the open or in the back of a truck or something? Now, obviously, this seems ridiculous. I'm not going to suggest that stealing is okay, but $5,000 bail for 17 cents worth of theft seems absolutely insane. It seems absolutely insane that he'd even get arrested. The amount of time and paperwork that the police are putting into this just seems insane. Just be like, give it back. What the fuck, man? Don't be doing that. Next time you're in big trouble. Over! Done! Why do we need to take this any further? However, the reason bail was set so high wasn't because he stole, it's because he broke into a car. Okay, there we go. Did he break the window or something? Because then that's more serious. That's okay, you've really caused someone hassle and damage. Then you should probably be arrested. I just assumed it was truck bed or something. Breaking into a car for the purposes of committing a crime is a felony in Florida, and the law doesn't make any distinction between shattering a window to enter a locked car or simply opening the door of an unlocked car. That's stupid. It realistically should, but it doesn't. Again, that's stupid. The high amount of bail was also related to Safraz being a repeat offender, though most of his offences were pretty silly. He had a fairly long rap sheet, about half of which were charges for marijuana possession. Another entry was when Safraz was pulled over and caught driving without his license. Not for driving without a license, because he had a valid driver's license at the time, he just didn't physically have it on him. Wait, that's a crime? I thought they could be like, well, you got to go and show us it's like, I have a license, I just left it at home. Which I do all the time. Shit. I mean, I thought you just had 2 weeks to then go and present it to a police station, which would be f***ing annoying. But I don't feel like I'm committing a crime. More importantly, however, it was one previous arrest for petty theft and another for grand theft and armed burglary. The latter charge was for using a bat to steal someone's bike, which is admittedly pretty bad, yes, though not nearly as bad as I assumed the story would be when I saw those charges listed. Interestingly, those charges saw him spend 81 out of a maximum 105 days in jail, while the toilet paper heist carried with it a maximum possible sentence of 5 years in prison. American laws are weird. All places' laws are weird when you fall into one of these, accidental big crimes. It's I just needed some toilet paper. It's sitting in the guy's car. I just needed it. My ass was dirty. I was turtle heading really bad, and I just needed it. So I just opened the door and take it. And then it's oh, you've accidentally committed a serious crime. It's for fuck's sake, you didn't even know. Florida man offering free breathalyzer tests, arrested for DUI. When it comes to having a night on the town, safety is important. It's best to either take a taxi or Uber, use public transportation, have a designated driver, or be friends with one of those people who insist they drive better when they're drunk. Not only is driving under the influence stupid and dangerous, but being caught doing so can result in having a court-mandated breathalyzer ignition interlock installed in your car so that it won't start if you're above the legal limit. I mean, yeah, that makes a ton of sense, doesn't it? Although you'd just be like, yo, sober person, blow in this shit. Right now, come on, get over here. That's not actually what happened to 54-year-old Florida man Darrell Campbell, though. He had multiple previous convictions for drunk driving, as well as take away his license. I'm sorry, but if someone's got multiple convictions for drink driving, they shouldn't be allowed to drive, should they? Fucking simple. It's not like driving's a right, it's a fucking privilege. As well as a rap sheet containing dozens of other driving offenses, such as running stop signs and reckless driving. I have a lot of driving offenses, but they're always for parking, and not forgetting my parking ticket to buy the parking ticket, or speeding, very little, slight speeding. I found out there's a portal online where you can, because I get, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 speeding tickets a year. And there's a portal online where you can go and check how many points you've got. And I was like, oh, shit. I mean, I don't think I've got that many, because I feel like I'd get a letter warning me that if I get another point, then my driving license is going to be suspended, but I wasn't really sure. And I go on and I check and I have 0 points. I'm like, this is amazing, because I'm just doing minor speeding. It's just kind of fines where it's I don't know, 50, 60 bucks. And you're like, hey, no points, 0 points, clean license. I had 2 points because I got caught by the police speeding and they gave me 2 points out of 14. I could do that 7 more times. Don't speed. Oh yes, and also some charges for cocaine possession and illegally carrying a firearm as a convicted felon. It sounds like he's running the gamut of really minor crimes to quite severe crimes. Having a gun as a felon, isn't that what Hunter Biden was going to get in trouble for? Wasn't he he was as a drug offender or something? He was on, I don't know, drugs, and then, allegedly, because he got pardoned. So that means the crime never happened? A commutation is where the crime still happened. A pardon is it's now your record's completely clean, right? I'm guessing his dad gave him the good one, the pardon, not the commutation. I forgot my train of thought, but let's carry on. It's been a long day. I'm almost about to go home. This is my last recording of the day. It's 5 o'clock. On April the 12th, 2018, Darrell again wound up getting pulled over for driving erratically, swerving through multiple lanes of traffic down US 1. When police looked in his car, they noticed the passenger seat had a pair of binoculars and a bunch of condoms. And Darrell's Cochrane was in the center console. Where the fuck are we going? They also made note of Darrell's underwear, the only article of clothing he was wearing at the time, on which was written the words, "Free breathalyzer test, blow here." Just in case there's any confusion, Simon, the breathalyzer to which he was referring was his penis. There was no confusion, Kevin. I knew exactly what he was talking about. Though I do not believe it would have actually worked as advertised. For his third DUI conviction, Darrell received 5 months time served and 1 year probation, as well as having his license suspended. Take it away. He has since been arrested for at least 3 more times for driving with a suspended license, as well as for various other traffic infractions. Bro, if you've had your license suspended and you continue to drive, prison. Prison. Florida man overturns state's motorcycle helmet laws, dies while not wearing a helmet. I mean, isn't it ironic? Florida man Ron Smith was a 66-year-old attorney and avid motorcyclist. For a solid decade of his career back in the 1990s, he spent much of his time defending people who had violated the state's mandatory helmet laws. Oh my god, dude, it's like wearing a seatbelt. Just wear the seatbelt. You're already doing something ridiculously dangerous in driving a motorcycle. How about you put on a helmet? And I like riding motorcycles. I don't ride motorcycles anymore because I decided it was too dangerous, but I love motorcycles. I think they're cool. But the idea of riding one without a helmet to me just seems batty. Ron was able to win many of these cases, and though never explicitly stated by the legislature, it is widely believed that Ron's efforts were a major factor in the state's decision to change the law back in 2000. Since then, anyone over the age of 21 is allowed to ride a motorcycle without a helmet so long as they have at least $10,000 of insurance. The state's decision to amend the law was a big win for wanton stupidity. I mean, for personal freedom. Don't get me wrong, I generally believe it's only necessary for laws to protect people from each other, not from themselves, and if people want to needlessly endanger their own lives out of stubborn ignorance, it should be their right to do so. I mean, yeah, but then who's paying for the f***ing health? Oh, wait, it's America. That's why they have the insurance. I'm like in the UK, or like countries with, f***ing health insurance, it's like, well, yeah, if the person has a motorcycle accident and they've got brain damage, and then they have to go through like f***ing rehab and a brain surgery and all that stuff that's costing f***ing hundreds of thousands of dollars, the taxpayer's paying for that shit. Or like other people's insurances. But in America, I guess you just have if you don't have insurance, they're just like, hey, I guess we don't operate on you, face, or if they do, they'll take your house afterwards or whatever. So I guess it's less of a problem. They can do what they want then. You're just hurting yourselves. That said, I do think it's worth taking into account the years of therapy nearby motorists would have to endure after the trauma of witnessing someone's brains literally spill all over the highway as they died an easily preventable death. I'm not particularly haunted by stuff like this. Like things that you see and it's like, oh wow, that was grim, but it's not going to give me PTSD. But regardless of whether, and I've seen a pretty nasty motorcycle crash. It was one of the motorcycle crashes that made me not want to ride a motorcycle anymore. And I don't know, I don't think about it very much. I'm like, it of course is a memory, like one of those core like grim memories. But I don't think about it. I don't have PTSD from it. Oh, maybe I do because I don't ride a motorcycle at all. Maybe Kevin's right. Sure, motorcycle deaths have increased by nearly 400% since the law was changed, but there are no signs that it's going to change back, so clearly Florida believes they made the right decision. They didn't. Anyway, back to Ron. It was August of 2022, and Ron was driving his motorcycle with his girlfriend, 62-year-old Brenda Volp, as his passenger, neither of whom were wearing helmets at the time. Ron went to slow down as they approached traffic ahead of them, at which point he lost control of the bike. The motorcycle skidded on the highway before rotating and turning over, at which point Ron and Brenda collided with a utility trailer being towed by the truck in front of them. It's impossible to say for sure whether or not they'd have survived the crash had they been wearing helmets, but experts believe it would have been a very real possibility. Well, can't we tell? Like, if it's broken back or like horrific internal injuries, then it's like, well, that's probably the body. But if you've got substantial brain damage, then probably the helmet. If nothing else, Ron died doing what he loved, valuing freedom and independence above personal safety or reason. Maybe I'm too harsh on Ron since he was an experienced motorcyclist who had ridden helmetless for decades without dying. It just seems weird to fight so vigorously for the right to increase personal risk for no real benefit. Yeah, wear a f***ing helmet. Before we end today's episode, though, there is one secondary piece of irony in this story. When Ron and Brenda died, they were on their way to a funeral. Oh, no. Thanks for watching. Jesus Christ, Kevin, what an ending. You fucking peasant.